So sharpening these knives, I've got 200 grit Trizac belt for the primary grind. Secondary grind is 400, and the tertiary and final grind is 600. But I've got to set up my jig because all my kitchen knives. The jig I made, I put on a regular flat platen. I cut this piece of resin wood at a 17-degree angle, and now I'm going to mirror that up, and you can see it's at 74.3, and I want to get this to exactly 73. So here's how we do it. The flat platen behind it, and I'm going to use my digital micrometer or degree micrometer to make sure that we're in the right spot. So we're starting out now. So what we're doing now is getting this set up, and it's not the easiest thing, but get this loosened so that it's just barely off the sandpaper. And I'm at 22, and now I'm tightening it down, and we want to drop down to exactly 73. And there we go. So the first pass takes off all the blemishes that they've been using in the industrial kitchen that screwed up the edge. So we're going to go over 200, and because it's set up, it's a very easy thing to do. This part is parallel with the front of the bolster, the faux bolster here. And so from there forward, everything gets ground easily. Yeah, if they want to put their finger there, they can, but I think they would hit their finger on the bottom of whatever they're cutting. So when you're doing this, you just slide the knife up till you barely hear it touch the sandpaper. And then as you're taking it across, you're just knives also used to have an edge clear back to here. The problem is, when you go to grind them, you got to tip it like this for the edge of the belt, and you can never get a perfect grind at the edge, plus they never use this part in cutting. But it just keeps things nice and smoother, and it's a lot easier to grind. And they like it like this. Grind of the first three that we go through. It up there against the sandpaper, and then as you start to turn it to follow the curve of the blade, it stays in the same place, and then you just finish it up. And so that's all we do on the first one, because that belt that we have on here is such a good quality belt, it just takes off all the blemishes. And that's the primary sanding platen with 400 grit, and just flatten those down and then regrind it so that we get a nice flush grind along there. Light's coming through here and here. Okay, and that's just from use. So you know that this area is where they're doing the majority of their cutting on this knife because it's worn the blade back. So what I want to do is go put this on yet another... So this flat platen I had surface ground by my friend Dan not too long ago, so I know that baby's flush. So now what we're going to do is I've got 400 grit on here, and it's a fairly used belt, so I'm not going to worry about cutting it. But I'm going to put this on here. Yeah, that did it. So I get a nice flush cut from here to there till that's back in good shape again. So it's a little hard to be able to see. So let's see if we can track it with light behind. Now when we put this back on here, you see that we've got a nice flat contact, 40% of that cut from the light not being able to come through. It just comes through a little bit, but those are flakes in the stone. Okay? So on the second go around here with 400 grit, there's a significant amount of metal that was bent over from the sharpening. So we're going to see that disappear. This is going to smooth out, and we'll see if the adjustment I made on the grind on the bottom is going to stand up to what I wanted it to do. So here we go. Go a little bit slower on this one because it's material. touch it, and it's still just as cool as it was when I started. That's a great thing about these kind of belts. And I get all these belts from True Grit out of California. So one of the things that I wanted to point out is this type of a belt has a lot of holes in it. It's a real structural belt that also defrays heat. So one of the nice things about the grinding and doing it with these kind of knives and get such a thin edge on it is I can do it on here and take the knife slowly so I get a really good grind without building up heat. So we have no discoloration on the edge of the blade at all. Literally when you're done. So we did 200, the second grind is 400, this is the tertiary grind, and the final grind is 600. What I like to do now, after I've done all the sharpening, I have a hard felt wheel, and I'm going to put pink rouge on it, and I'm going to run it once across on both sides of the edge of the blade. That's going to take hangings on or filings off of it, and it's going to also put a little smooth look on it. So it's just like my leatherworkers knives that just cuts and slices through something when you do this. No grind marks. So that's what we're going to do now. So that's sharp.